Yo. Welcome to the Grapevine Show.
What up?
I'm your host, Chris Hughes. My other host, right here to the right, Eric Kaiser. Down below us, Michael Cianfrocco.
What's going on? Plan.
Tonight's topic is hourly pay versus commission. That's what we'll be discussing. And
hourly pay or salary pay?
Yeah, I know, man. Look, here's the deal behind the title. I was baseball dad all weekend. So like Friday came and had to get out of Dodge because we had to drive out of town for this baseball tournament. And I'm like, man, I got to get a thumbnail out like ASAP. And I think it should have been hourly versus commission. But like I kind of see salary and hourly is kind of the same thing to a degree, right? You're getting paid by the week to an agreed amount of hours. You're right. Commissioning is definitely not that. So
when I hear salary, I always think service manager above, or like a big commercial.
You think important people stuff?
Important people.
Salary?
Well, normally
like
when
there are mechanics.
There's very strict limitations in pay statutes about who can be paid salary versus hourly. So it has to be management personnel.
Say what?
I have never heard that.
Oh, yeah.
You have to expand on that because that's a new one for me.
That's federal laws right there. Federal wage laws.
So you're saying a mechanic cannot be paid salary?
Really?
Legally not.
And is that because he is so this opens up Pandora's box a little bit, and I got to go into a topic, right? Because in our family's business, there was huge turmoil about this, and I so wanted to put all the mechanics on salary and do like a commissioning kind of thing after the salary thing. And bookkeeping, my dad and the CPA were like all against it. They were like, no. Because we did bill hourly to our commercial clients. And because we did that, we were not allowed to kind of pay salary. I don't know. Anyway, long story short, I did not win the battle. We stayed as is, and I did not win. But my goal of winning that argument was to reduce the amount of paperwork that had to be done by the guys in the field. That was the angle I was trying to play.
Okay. Make it a little easier on the guys too. Didn't have to check the timesheets as much.
Not only that, the people in the office, they have to match everything up, right? Like when hours to the job, whenever I don't know if anybody's ever seen the inside of a business to this level, but like, let's say this is an invoice or whatever. And this invoice then goes to the office and then the office has to break this down piece by piece inside of say QuickBooks.
Right.
And then, as they get paid, then they break it back apart to separate all of that in QuickBooks. It's complex. And salary and hour, like the hourly billed have to line up just like materials used on a job. And it makes for a lot of dots that don't get connected. Right.
So you got a guy on salary, bam, he's done, right? The office is like,
you stop connecting the guy's pay with the job so closely. You pay the guy salary, whatever he writes down on the ticket for his hours on that job doesn't matter because we're billing that client probably flat rate or we have a contract customer. So it doesn't even matter, right, anymore. And that was the whole plan, was like to get away from that. Stop billing hourly pay. Now, our catch was we did a lot of commercial work. And I don't know if anybody else has done it. We could not figure out how to flat rate commercial work. It's just too big, too many variables.
It's tough. Yeah. I always did residential, so I did a little light commercial, but yeah, it's got to be tough on the commercial side, huh?
It is, and you can't really flat rate it because you'd be all over the place. I mean,
Right.
if you're gonna, well, we kind of did, but it was a hybrid move. So this is what we ended
You'd have
up
to talk to
doing.
John Ellis on that, right?
So let me give you a flavor on how we flat rated commercial work. We ended up, man, this has been some time since I've had to say this spill, but we would go to the job site and we would bill like an initial flat rate diagnostic fee. And then we would try to quote the job after we diagnosed it. And the diagnostic was basically the hourly rate. We go there, the guys would get like an hourly rate 1 hour to figure out what they think's going on. And if it took 2 hours or 3 hours, it was understood that they would just continue to bill the hourly rate to diagnose and then stop. And from there, you produce a quote for the job after that. So everything was a la carte quoting after the diagnostic was done, and the diagnostic was done hourly. That makes sense? That way, and what you're trying to do is say,
Yes, boss.
yeah, that's what you're trying to do is say, hey, I found the problem and it's big, and here comes a big quote, right? And that was there's an agree to. Because when you get into big jobs that take, let's just say 3 days, lots of manpower, and you're charging a client, I don't know, $18,000. They start to look at those hours and they start to watch the guys in the parking lot talking, and then they start to think, man, this is starting to cost me a whole lot of money, right? And nobody likes working under those conditions. It's annoying. So
yeah,
the idea was to cut that out too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it, but yeah, so my stepmother is or was a
she commissioned?
No, she was in very high up in a large international organization, manufacturing organization. She was high up in the HR department. And we've had some really good discussions on like what people are allowed to be salary, what people are have to be hourly. And it is really hard to justify a person to be a salaried person when you actually dig into the federal labor laws. And some states are even more restrictive. But when she's told me a number of times, she's like, there's a very limited number of people in a company typically that can be salary if you actually follow the letter of the law. Now, a lot of people have been salaried that probably shouldn't be, or really shouldn't be, if their companies were following the law. So what she always told me was, you want to get into, you really want to get a good HR person, and you need to make sure you have a good lawyer that understands that law if you're going to start trying to pay salary, because what you don't want to do is end up having a finding against you, and you end up having to go back and pay overtime and all kinds of other things like that.
In my neck of the woods, usually if somebody is getting too much overtime and they're working too many hours, usually this area that I'm in, they like to go, let's put that guy on salary.
Well, that's what a lot of companies do. But when they have to make that person's salary, or when they make that person's salary, they have to put them in it's almost a management position, or there's some very specific classifications that can be salaried and that are allowed to be salaried. But I don't know of any real technicians out there that would be legally able to be salaried, but I am by no means an expert at this. I just had some really good conversations.
Never seen any technicians that were salary.
Yeah,
personally,
it's really hard to do salary. So,
me, I like commission.
Yeah.
So I like the hustle. I like to keep in the hustle, because if I go hourly, man, I'll just get stale. I'll get lazy. Nobody get recommendations. You got mold in there. Yeah. I guess
I could get a feel for that. It's like, for me, I feel it, there needs to be a hybrid. My dad was, super old school. Everything was always hourly. You just worked hourly pay. That's how it was done. And I tried to do my best to kind of change that and offer like an incentive on sales and things like that. And to be
So like
honest,
spiffs.
yeah, and the idea behind it, truthfully, it wasn't so much about the money. It was getting the techs to talk to customers and opening up that verbal communication. Because what I was really wanting was like for everybody in the company to be very good and sociable with our clientele. Because your clientele, when you're talking to them on every job, you will retain some clientele, and they will tell people like, oh man, that guy, or that guy, that girl, whoever, they're just really sociable. I like it when they come over. They're just, it's almost like you're friends with your clientels. And I was friends with my clientels. So
yeah,
I like that. And I was trying to encourage more of that. And I'm not going to say it worked.
I think the best is the hybrid is, if I was to take over a company, I would be like, here's your hourly base and spiffs. Because when you move over to like all full commission, like this one company I used to work for, they would give you like $10 for a meeting. They throw you a little breadcrumb here. The guys get a little too hungry, man. So like you see the guys on the maintenance and they're like, 8-year-old unit, maybe we should replace it. Let's get a salesman out here. It's a little early, 8 years old.
Yeah.
And not everybody needs service valves on every other service call,
Well, that depends on who, that all depends on who brazed them in.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Let's just say I followed behind some people that they needed to replace service valves after pretty much every job they brazed in.
You got them like smoking hot.
Let me tell you what, if you're not careful, that old acetylene torch will just overheat some service valves.
Yeah, I got that turbo torch, man. And you gotta get ready to rock and roll with that water.
I hate to admit this, but I've burned in a condenser or two in my life without wrapping the valves. I'm just saying.
Come on, we all start somewhere,
It can absolutely be done, but you got to have a hot torch. You got to get in there, get it done, and get the heck out.
You got to get in and get out.
And if you're rocking a little number 2 tip on a turbo torch, it ain't gonna happen.
Too much time on the job site, right there, baby. It's just
I don't know. I would say it depends on like the conditions outside.
Nah,
I can burn it in pretty quick.
I've seen the aftermath and the refrigerant squirting out of the units because you guys burned up the service valves. I mean, it just, you melt the seals down in there. And
I haven't done that, but I will tell you this. I've done it a couple times, and I would say it definitely feels like when you go to open the valves, it's a lot harder to break them whenever after you burn them in.
Well, I just got the turbo torch, Chris. So the time on that piece of copper, it's a little bit longer. So if you're like, if you don't know what you're doing, time on the real estate right there, it's cooking, man. And if you don't have like a wet rag, if you don't have what's Viper got going on,
the wet rag or the
foam,
yeah.
What I mean,
if you're not rocking that, it's gonna get too much, man.
And just to clarify, when I say break them, I meant like unseat the valves.
Unseat the valve. Yeah. No, I know what you mean, man. Okay. Yeah, it's get a little too much cooking going on.
Yeah. What's that? I'm trying to think what that stuff I've used. I think it's called thermopaste. Is that right?
Yeah, there's thermopaste that's out there. There's a number of gel things.
Yeah,
I feel like the spray gel goes too quick. It evaporates too quick.
I've never used spray gel. I don't know about that.
It's good for like TXVs and stuff like that. But I like the wet rag.
Yeah, I like that moldable.
What do you guys got on True Tech Tools, man? What is it, Eric?
We've got the Viper wet rag from
both of them
from Refrigeration Technologies. I think we've got the Solder Weld Hot Block.
Solder Weld, that's it. Hot Block. Yep, that's the other one.
I think we've got both of them on there.
Yeah, it's great for TXVs, man.
I'm bringing in the audience, you guys, for a minute. Let's just see what people say. So, would you prefer to be paid by the hour or commission? So if you want to vote, let's have some fun. There's your code right there, 34230136.
The only type of gel I like to use is in my hair.
Hey, Chris, where do they have to go to do that? Because that is really tiny print on there.
You have to go to menti.com. That's MENTI.com. You can go there from your phone, type in the code. It will let you land on the screen and you can vote.
I'm going to go to Squinty because I can't see that so good.
Yeah. And Ty, that's why I'm wearing these, buddy. I got these glasses when I couldn't see the screen anymore.
I think this year at the symposium, I want to hand out everybody Ty's little finger pointer.
Yeah.
I love that freaking thing.
All right, Eric. We were talking before the show and we slowed you down, man. We slowed your roll because it was getting juicy. Tell us the story, man, why people struggle to get this done because they can't read what's up there. I can't figure out how to share it better than that.
Oh, that's hilarious. So, I've been different jobs in my career. I've been hourly plus bonuses. I wouldn't call it commission, but bonuses. And I've been in salaried position.
Time out. You're saying bonuses, not commission, but you're considering it not the same thing.
Well, so to me, a commission is a percentage of a sale, right? Say I'm going to go out, I'm going to sell something. I get a percentage of that sale.
Yeah, you're saying that it's directly you as the person who's making the money can directly attach it to the monetary reason why you're getting it.
Right. Well, the monetary amount that I'm selling something for versus a bonus is like, or a spiff, as they're termed a lot of times, is something that you get a flat fee. Like say somebody's going to go out, they're going to sell a customer a humidifier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they're going to get paid an extra $15 for every humidifier they sell.
What's a humidifier?
That in Florida, that's called a window. Same thing in Alabama, right, Chris?
Close the door.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, that's kind of the difference between the two. And then there's other ways too. Like if you're, some companies will do a 1099 where they'll just hire people as they'll do a subcontractor type thing too. And that's like they're paying what's called like flat or piece rate or whatever. And I can't say any pay method is perfect.
Right.
Now, if I'm a technician and I'm in a truck all day long, I'm 100% hourly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean that.
See me, I feel a little different. I'd like it's like a small amount of hourly and be like spiffs. I think that would be awesome. So if I was a tech.
Let me ask you a question.
Now we got the purpose, like we were talking about before, of spiffs from a company aspect, in my opinion, is to really encourage those technicians to have conversations with their homeowners and make sure that their homeowner, number one, you're looking at something on that homeowner's system. You're saying, hey, this homeowner may or may not be able to benefit from this. Right. And then you have an extra conversation with them and you offer them that. You give them an offer. And the first company that I worked for, we did a really good job of offer and decline. We were still writing paperwork orders then. Okay. So for some of you out there
those days
don't know what paperwork orders are, right? You're writing things down.
All these
we had a
are
column
on
on there.
These days.
Do what?
All these kids are on tablets these days with
I know,
new HVAC companies.
I'm jealous.
Me too. Dude, I had the penmanship of a doctor that was like drinking.
No.
Scribbling.
So like at that company, we had a what we called offer decline, where anytime, it didn't matter what it was, if it was a capacitor, that customer always had the option to say no.
I like
that was always an option. They could say no.
And if they say no, you get back in there and try harder.
Yeah.
No, that was it. I mean, if they say no, we don't want that. Okay, fine. That was up to them.
Yeah.
And that to me was a really it was easy for me, and it was low pressure.
Yeah.
And it was, the owner wanted us to do a really good job when we did work, but he didn't want us doing work that customers didn't want us to do. So we got, I got, and we got, it was a really small company. There was the owner and me as the technician. Actually, there was 2 technicians when I hired in, and then the other technician ended up leaving. And so it was me and one person that did the installs, the guy that did the installs. And he was great. He loved to work by himself. So he would go out and just knock installs out all day by himself. Somebody might come by and help him move equipment. But honestly, the guy had some of the most ingenious ways to move equipment around and not hurt himself.
Nice.
Still to this day, I think back and see some of the stuff that he did. And I'm like, his name was Jim. And I'm like, what would Jim do in this situation? Because he did. I mean, he just did stuff by himself. Like, I've never seen
what
somebody.
Would Jim Bergman do?
Well, I mean, it wasn't Bergman, but it was another Jim.
My dad was like that, dude. He was very good at just getting things done, Yeah.
I
remember we used to change out a lot of compressors at this building. And each floor basically had like a 35, 40 horse semi-hermetic compressor. And it was close to the ground, but it's probably up. The unit was in a pan, it was a water source unit. And we used to change these compressors out every couple of years. We'd lose one, on the floor or something. And he went and we got a transmission dolly from Harbor Freight. And we ended up drilling 4 holes, and we cut a piece of plate and we cut slots in it so we could put the compressor in it. And we take like hammers and we beat the plate over, right? When we jack it up. And then we would take pinch bars and like pinch bar the compressor and walk it in. We always had a method to the madness of moving like heavy stuff around.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
There are a lot of ways to do stuff that does not involve killing yourself. And
yep.
Somebody once told me that if you want to get something done safer and faster, give it to a lazy guy. Because they're going to figure out an easier, often safer, faster way. Now, some people aren't going to do that, but a lot of people will. Like, if you sit there and think about it and look at it, kind of like, oh yeah, I can do this.
Man,
we're going down another road there.
When I was much, I got to get the story out though, man. When I was much younger, I remember going to a building and we removed a commercial boiler. This thing was big, right? It was heavy. I mean, there was no lifting it. This thing was an ox, and it had to come through like a doorway. And we used to have this trailer at work it was a short trailer, but we had built a trolley system on it with the rollers,
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Dude, you guys should do more residential back in the day. Damn.
Yeah, so check this out. I'm like, how the hell are we going to get this thing out of here? My dad shows up and he had like 4 pieces of pipe cut, all the same size. They were only 2 foot long. And he brought like, his 8-foot pinch bar. And I'm like, what are we doing? And he took a chain fall from the trailer and we ran the chain all the way out to the boiler, it up with straps and literally, and we have one guy driving the truck with the trailer, and the chain fall hooked to the trailer on the I-beam rail system is hooked to the boiler. And then he goes, we took the pinch bar and we pinched bar the front of the boiler and put 2 pipes on it. Now, me and my brother are in this room, and he's telling us, keep your feet on the pipes. Do not move your feet from the pipes. Right?
That's not safe.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Safe. So we're standing in the mechanical room. We got our feet on the pipe. And he yells out to the guy in the truck. He's like, all right, give it a little gas. Give it a little gas. And you see that trailer just go, cocoon, cocoon, right? Everything's jerking and lining up. And slowly we just cocked this boiler on the first set of pipes. And once we got that thing on the pipes, it was all over after that.
Damn.
We just kept putting pipes right in the front, and let it roll on pipes all the way out to the parking lot.
That's the way I did my Chiguzi in the backyard. I threw it down pipes.
It was pretty awesome to watch play out.
But for everybody in the chat that doesn't know, Chris's dad, he's like 6'2" as well. And he looks like the dad from Orange County Choppers. He's like,
pretty much,
back in the day.
Yeah.
He's like, let me show you how to get this
He's the kind of guy you want talking to the customer, but about the job, but you probably don't want him selling the job because he's got no filter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy who's like, what do you think? He goes, I think it's a piece of shit. Like, that's what I think. He's like, we need to do something about it. He's like, we're doing this or we're not doing that. And they're like, how much is it going to cost? He's like, probably 50 grand. He's like, that's at least. And you're just like, what did you like that? But there was certain clientele that loved that because they were just, they knew that they were talking to like a salty dog mechanic, and and they knew it was going to be the real deal.
But I tell you what, getting back to like commission and pay and stuff like that, what you guys were talking about earlier. When I worked for that company, man, if you were that commission base, we got 16% of whatever we sold, right? So maintenance, right? You get a flat rate. You get $16, $18 for what's Mikey saying? Yeah, this guy. Shut the door.
Oh man.
So you get a flat rate for the maintenance, and then you get a percentage of, let's say you upsell a maintenance to like a coil clean, an evap clean, a UV light. So you have to keep track of your UV and all your upgrades on a commission list, and you'd send it in that day or that week. And I was bringing up in the we would have maintenance. We'd have meetings every week, and I was bringing up. I was like, hey, I sold 3 new maintenances on no cools, right? I was like, how much do we get paid? We would get a spiff on maintenance agreements, right? Signatures, like $10, right? Let's just say $10. And my buddy, he was working there for, at the time, probably like 6 to 8 years, right? He goes, we get paid for that? And he starts looking at them, and he starts freaking out because over the past 5-8 years, he's signed up people on agreements. He must have lost out like 10 grand, right? So that's it's the ups and downs. You got to really know. And you go into a company, it's not like they give you a like cheat sheet of like what you get paid for, So
no, they don't want to tell you that.
No, they should.
Yeah,
they should.
They should.
Yeah,
because they should.
Here's the thing about paying like that, because and depending on the classification, and again, you got to talk to a knowledgeable lawyer, but depending on the classification of a person, if you're a technician working, you got to be paid a minimum hourly wage. Right. And if your commission doesn't equal, it's going to get loud here in a minute. Sounds like it's starting to rain and thunder here. Hope my lights stay on.
Sound good? I don't hear any background.
All right, good. So you got to meet that. They have to meet that minimum hourly wage pay, so that, and it's on them to calculate that. And like, they get in trouble if they don't calculate and keep track of it.
Yeah.
I never worried about like my spiffs and stuff like that. It was just, that's the way I was. If I got it, I got it. If I didn't, I didn't. But the office always kept really good track of stuff like that in the companies that I've worked for.
Yeah.
I felt like those were the companies that I wanted to work for. I don't want to work for a company that I don't feel I'm not comfortable putting my name on with them.
Right.
Well,
because and that goes to to another thing with like side work and stuff. I never did side work because when I worked all day long, like I don't want to go do the same thing at night. I want to go do something else that's fun at night or on the weekend or whatever. I got other things to do.
So when I was working at that company, there was no time for side work. You were doing 60 hours a week.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody came to me and said, hey, I want a system in my house, I'm like, you want me to sell it to you, or I can have the boss come out and sell it to you or whatever, but I'm not doing this as a side job. That doesn't cut it with me, but that's just the way I was,
it's easy to fall into that trap, man. Cause people they'll pull that card all day long.
You know what I feel like? I feel like every technician, even in different stages of a tech's career, right? Starting new, in the middle of his career towards the end, he could be at 3 different, like when he starts off, hourly's great, right? In the middle of your career, you could change. You could start going to commissions later on. You start doing sales, doing like towards the end of my career, I started doing air conditioning sales, and that's just, you know, you sell something, you get commission. But you know, it's just could be very a fluid thing for guys to think about, you know.
Do you think paperwork being turned in by technicians to the office gets a lot better when it's commission pay?
Yeah.
I would think
that's
so.
Money right there. Yeah.
I wonder if there is a benefit to the hybrid model strictly for paperwork, because I don't know.
I think there is, man. Yeah.
Man, like for my entire life career in HVAC, it's always been mostly hourly, and paperwork has always been a nightmare. Always.
Well, I think there's a benefit to that, but I don't think you're going to have the same thing with paperwork getting turned in. You know, remember we started this out, we're talking about the difference between paper and tablets, right? Now, there are, and I've heard different companies discuss this. They have problems with technicians even filling out stuff on tablets, right? They're not getting complete notes. They're not getting all this stuff.
That's what I'm getting at.
I don't know. That's why I'm jealous of these new kids. Oh, they got tablets, bro.
There's still a few out there, I think, Ty, but there ain't many.
Our family's business still on paper, straight up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, there's still some out there, but I think there's a case for a bonus or a spiff of getting all your paperwork completed, because you're getting paid to go out there and complete that paperwork. If you're an hourly employee, and this kills me because I hear hourly employees complaining, well, I don't have enough work. Did you complete your paperwork? Because the office is paying you to complete that paperwork, right?
Right.
You know, you're getting paid
take
an
your time
hourly wage
if you're hourly,
to sit there
right?
and complete
That's a
paperwork.
good point. It's a good
Why
point.
are you not getting that done?
It's because I'm getting paid already. That's why. That's what I feel. Not me personally, but that's what I feel like those guys are thinking.
And sometimes like I understand dispatch will push on people because they got more jobs. But to me, if dispatch is pushing, that's really a management issue. Like the management should be saying it. And this was stressed to me in one of my companies that I work for. The most important job that you are on is the job you're on. You should not have
Depends
your head.
on what company you work for, bro. Hey, Mike, I got 5 more calls for you. Where are you? What you doing?
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a call, bro.
And I've had those days, and a lot of that is the dispatchers feeling pressure from multiple customers, like, hey, we want you here today. And most dispatchers will, unless they're trained to, they have a hard time saying no to customers because their job is to make customers happy and say yes to customers.
Dispatch is a tough spot, man.
Oh, it's a hugely tough spot.
Dude, it's a key spot, I think.
It is.
In the company, man.
It is. It requires some very good training to be a good dispatcher and to relate to those customers and be able to relate to the technicians and keep everybody happy, or try
those
to.
people should be salary.
Let's ask.
And listen, well, hold on, and keep your damn dispatcher away from the spiffs, bro. Because then it starts to get a little crazy. You know, like Tom's over here slipping the dispatcher $20. Bobby's over there like, hey, let me get a sale, you know. Dude, it gets bad.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Keep the dispatcher out of the game, bro.
I was going to ask, should the person who handles bookkeeping to any degree also be the dispatcher? Because I think that's in a lot of companies.
Well, I think that depends on the size of the company.
It does, but I feel like by the time a company gets to a size it can afford a dispatcher, there should probably be bookkeeping, and they should be separate people. And this is what I mean by that. Someone who knows the books of the business is so well connected with where the best revenue comes from, what generates the revenue. They know the customer base so hard, they will really understand the pressure when a certain individual calls and then really apply that pressure to the field. I think
that's a really cool combo. Yeah, I never heard about that, bro.
I mean,
but that smells like an extra 30,000 a year for the dispatcher.
There, you get some of that, but the thing is, like, and I'm just going to say this, like, only if that bookkeeper is good do they know that where they're actually making money. And by the time most companies are big enough to figure out their books well enough to know how much money they're actually making per customer, and I'm not talking about gross sales, I'm talking about actual profit.
Yeah.
Because that's a big difference.
Well, that all depends on how you break down your books, right?
Yeah.
If you break down your books very, like, just kind of going back in our business, like, we broke everything down. Like, with in a snapshot, we could give you a customer's name and tell you from the last job to the last 3 months of work we're done for them, their whole life of them being a career, or the one job, we could tell you how much profit we made on the job, how much profit we made on the customer with potential overhead figured in on that customer, because we knew what our overhead was running the whole time. But man, it took a lot of time to compile that data to get those figures. You know what I mean? Lots of bookkeeping time.
So you guys are saying trade schools should bring up technicians and also like have a separate program for dispatchers?
No, well, I thought you were going to say like people who handle the money, and I'm like, no, that's a whole separate deal. Like,
well, dispatchers handling, you know, a different double.
There are dispatcher training programs out there.
Ooh,
yeah. There's dispatcher training programs out there. I think
you know who makes the best dispatcher, truthfully? I would say a mechanic who's good at sales and moves up to kind of like in that service manager.
Like a technician, you mean?
He knows what he can push off to tomorrow. He knows what he can't. He knows the talent of the guys in the field. He can judge.
An old salty technician.
Yeah, he knows who's faster than others, who's slower than others, who's got the skill set for this. He probably knows.
I'm telling my buddy it is a company. I'm like, bro, you got to hire an old technician to run the dispatch, bro.
Now
I see what eye to eye with you on that, man. But I don't know.
I'm gonna put a counterpoint
right here, baby, right here.
I'm gonna put a counterpoint to that, Chris, because if you get a salty old technician, right? A lot of times they are a salty old technician, and they don't deal well with unhappy customers or customers demanding customers sometimes. And you've got to have somebody that is good on both sides of the fence, because they've got to deal not only with the technicians and figure that side out, they got to figure out physical routing, they got to figure out time, but they've also got to be really
knows the routes, baby. You know what I'm saying?
I think there's technicians out there that could play that role like a champ. And here's my experience in that. As our company got bigger, me and my brother used to toss that role back and forth quite a bit, and we were really good at it. And the reason we were good at it is because we knew each tech, we knew our customer base, we knew the traffic patterns, we knew it right day if a tech could even make it to that job.
Yeah, and you know the bullshit if the guy's on the call for 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, then you're getting a phone call. You know,
there's so much of this informational knowledge that's buried in that tech's brain that you can't put like a specific value on that would make him really good to do that inside that company.
Yeah, you know, then again, I agree with Eric so much right now too, because I can hear that technician go, "Hey, I know it takes this long. You know, we'll get there when we get there."
Michael, it's hitting the nail on the head where I was gonna speak on this as well. He's basically saying it's like that job's not going to pay enough for that guy. And I agree. Nobody's going to want to pay that guy for that much information in his brain, because I think people don't see the value in it. But I think there's so much value there that you can't quite quantify when you're doing your books. And that's disappointing, because that guy is probably worth a ton of money sitting in that seat, that he's saving you money or making you money, making all these small, quick decisions on what's
those
best.
Micro decisions, man, that nobody else can make, because they know that job and they've been there, right? Yeah. They've been there at account.
Well, he's also, it's like everything that a company would buy out of a software that rates your technicians' talents and all this stuff. He's like all of that in one guy's brain who can, speak to people and make it all happen.
By the way, Chris and I are starting a dispatching school. So if you guys want to support us on Patreon, we're just launching this right now.
Yeah, buddy. Going live next week.
I can't wait to hear this.
I'm telling you, man, we're onto something. Technicians should be a dispatching. It should be a slow roll into dispatch, man.
I worked
at on there.
I worked at one company that actually had a former technician as a dispatcher. Now he came into the company and he decided he didn't want to work in the field.
Right.
And so they rolled him into a dispatcher position and he was good at it. Right.
Nice.
But I don't think he was any better at it because he was in the field. But previous to that,
we had sounds like he's not so good.
We had 2 dispatchers in that company, and I don't think he was any better than the other dispatcher. But it really depends on the individual.
It does.
I don't think there is a one size fits all solution to that.
And dude, that dispatching job, it's tough, man. I'm not saying it's easy for a technician to get in there, man. It's a hot seat, man. And let me tell you something, like handling that phone ringing every 2 seconds, it's crazy, but it's better than having somebody that's off the street that goes, hey, I've got 3 compressors for you to go to. And at the end of the day, you've got a reversing valve to go. That's not great.
This statement's kind of blowing me away. Ty says for-profit trade schools are more profitable than an HVAC service company.
Damn.
What? That's the first I've ever heard of that.
He's dropping that like QAnon knowledge on us or something.
I
got the inside scoop.
Man. I think Ty's had a lot of experience doing a lot of different stuff and knows some stuff.
Yeah. Boy, I'd like to pick that brain behind closed doors.
Mike and Chris's dispatch school. Here we go, baby.
We should have Ty on here.
Yeah, we've had Ty on here, man. We need to have Ty on here again. Ty,
we do.
You're back on the show, man. Let's do.
Drop my link. Unbelievable, man. But yeah, I mean, dispatch is key, but it's just let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh,
come on.
Here we go. The
blower doors, duct leakage testing.
Dude,
dispatch, baby.
Mike and Mike trade school. I can hear it now.
Animal House.
Act now and we'll get you the 3rd person in for free.
Animal House trade school, man. Pick your path. What do you want?
That's it. Every year we meet in Orlando, we throw down, do a little karaoke.
Yep, fast track. You know what I'm saying? Which direction you want to go? Building science, residential, commercial, right? You want to be a dispatcher? What do you want to do? We got you.
A master dispatcher. We won't send you on like 15 calls a day because we know you can't handle it.
Good for you, Jennifer. Keep up the good work out there.
I missed it, man. What am I missing here?
The second comment up.
Let me throw it.
That comment scrolling so fast, it's making my eyes spin.
I mean, it's
yeah.
No, you guys. Some of you guys probably saw that me and Chris were down at Alabama Power last week. If you keep up on Facebook,
throwing it down.
That's Alabama right. Slammer. What's going on?
So we were down at a place called Alabama Power, which is do they serve the whole state of Alabama for electricity?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
But the power company in conjunction with the one of the local schools there, one of the community colleges, has this amazing training center for HVAC. Oh, and I never did get a square footage on how big that thing was, but it's probably one of the biggest ones that I've ever seen, if not the biggest school that I've ever seen.
See, I like Alabama. Shout out to Alabama. You guys are good people, because in my state, in Florida, these bastards are setting up their own AC company. Come on.
I'll tell you what, man. They
ridiculous.
The power company?
The power company.
Oh, they've been doing that for years.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
The power companies all over the place have been doing that for years.
Rick Sims was battling them with Fraka and Aka. Dude, it's crazy.
The weatherization communities with the nonprofits, as the money's filtering down, they're starting to hire HVAC people and get in the HVAC game too. That's coming down the pipe.
That's crazy. So I appreciate Alabama. So you guys were down in Alabama doing little training?
Well, they had a all right, well, that's pretty funny.
I caught that one too.
So they
Oh,
had
that's right, Tampa,
in Alabama, they have what's called ACARE, which is the Alabama Council of Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Educators. And they have an annual training, like all the trainers come together, and it was their instructor, what do they call it, Chris? Instructors workshop. There we go. I got the paper set over there. Instructors workshop.
But on the hot seat.
When we were there, they had, how long was that trailer back there?
Oh, they had
that thing was had to be every bit of 45 or 50 foot long.
What's an 18-wheeler typically?
I thought you were talking about a movie trailer.
53 foot. I would say it was an 18-wheeler trailer.
Yeah, it was an 18-wheeler trailer, but it wasn't that heavy. Like it was only 32,000 pounds.
Well, they had to get the 3 axles that were 8,000-pound axles changed.
What the hell is this going? You guys are talking about trailers?
Yeah. So hold on.
What's the story going?
They had this trailer.
Pounds.
So they had this whole trailer, and it was a building science or building performance training trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to go all over the state of Alabama, training people for weatherization and building performance. But they're tying it together with the HVAC, because some of the HVAC people that know HVAC are also running this trailer and helping to set this trailer up.
That's cool, dude.
They're doing BPI certifications out of this trailer.
That's awesome.
So that connection between, and I talked to several of them, Chris did too while we were there, but they're very much of the opinion that the HVAC and the building science communities have got to work together, which I'm 100% in favor of.
That's what the Grapevine's about, baby. Look, man, they had, this thing was cool. You go into the front and there's a full scale attic stairwell pull down that you can climb up to and get into the attic of the trailer, which is about 3 or 4 feet tall. What? And you can go do work. And because they can't get up there with you because the space is a little tight, they have cameras all the way through the trailer where TVs are set up out in the front of the trailer where they can watch you while you perform your work or your testing from outside.
How many times did he go on his phone? Did he answer his wife's text? All right. Come over here. We got to talk to you, buddy. Ooh, hey, Michael House, you got a CDL? I think we want to buy a trailer too.
I hear the hail coming down outside right now.
Ooh, got good internet, bro.
Man, we needed
that's freaking cool. Alabama, that's what they're hooked up with BPI.
Hang on a minute, I'll be right back.
This is an impressive situation, but
hurry up, go pee.
Speaking of rain, man, it's storming here too. Thank goodness, because like we got in the car coming back from baseball, and my car said like 109 degrees. Obviously,
109.
The tan from baseball all weekend.
Ooh.
It was intense.
So you went from baseball dad to raccoon dad.
That's right, man. Yep. Just to give you an idea where all this came from. Look.
Yeah. Oh.
Pow. That's how I roll. You know what I'm saying? It only gets worse through the rest
of the line.
Just let you know. Because we haven't even gotten to like taking the boat out. So when that happens, this will just get more defined.
Yeah, it gets worse. Yeah, I remember I was in the pool last week. I was like, man, I got to take the shades off. I got to get that Addams Family look out of there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, to continue our topic here that we started on with, as I said, I've been also in salaried positions in a few jobs that I've had.
Same.
I have to admit, I do like a salaried position from the aspect of I don't have to worry about how many hours I have to work.
Right.
Now, I've been in salaried jobs where the normal work week was 50 to 60 hours. And I was working that many, but at the time when I made the agreement to be salaried, I considered that, I considered my salary to be enough to cover that kind of work hours. So that was nice because I've always got the same money coming in. I know what my budget's going to be. To me, it's just easy. Then I don't have to worry. It's one less thing that I have to worry about. I always know what I'm doing.
You sell something during the week, you don't have to worry about you getting that little commission. Right.
Well, I mean, cool. So when you're salaried, typically it's more of a specialty position.
Excuse me. All right.
But that's what the statute says it has to be.
Damn.
That's what the laws actually say it has to be. So typically, like, I wasn't selling in these positions.
Yeah, that's,
I'm not selling in that position. And actually that particular one was before I was in HVAC.
Okay, gotcha.
But
so I think HVAC and I think salary, I think supervisor, service manager.
Yes.
In a typical, I'm thinking of the warehouse guy too. He's pretty important as well.
Yeah, but they won't be salary. They should be hourly.
On big companies.
Nope. Hourly should be, unless they're management or a supervisor.
Well, I think warehouse guy, he supplies inventory. I think he's bringing, the cheapest 2 pallets of 410A you can get from Mexico, stuff like that, But you might be right too. It might be like a 50-50 split hourly.
Well, now again, it really depends on the company and how they classify everyone.
I tell you, HVAC is so diverse, man. I mean, you got a lot of guys, you talk to them, they're 5 vans, and the one guy, he works 35 vans. It's like, it's great. It's vast, So, but I mean, the normal HVAC company that's, mom and pop is, what do you think? Like around 5 to 10 vans.
If that, I mean, anywhere from 3 to 10 vans.
3 to 10 vans. So they're not having a warehouse guy that's making, $60K a year. So
they probably don't even have a warehouse guy at all.
Exactly. Like your service manager is probably doing a little warehouse action on the side.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would
throw you a couple of steaks at the end of the year.
Yeah. I think when you're getting around 15 trucks, a warehouse individual is necessary at that point. And maybe even sooner if you want to be organized about it, but you could probably manage when you get lower than that. But
well,
it depends on how much you want to blood, sweat, and tears HVAC,
And when you, as you're growing up that business, right, as you go from, the 5 trucks to 10 to 15, there, a lot of times you'll find in those small companies, everybody will wear multiple hats. So, a service manager might be the service manager and taking care of warehouse and ordering stuff for new installations. They kind of do everything.
But as the guy, you feel like you're getting taken advantage of a little bit. It's a give and a take thing.
No, because you're still working, the same number of hours a day. You just might have to wear more hats. I mean, you look at a company owner, how many a company owner that's them and, say 2 or 3 people, they have employees. Look at how many hats that company owner wears.
Yeah. Man, speaking of which, I've seen a post. I don't know who posted it today, and someone was trying to move from one state to the other, and he said he's a single man shop and he's gross revenue in like $500,000, right? And as I'm reading that, all I can think of is he's probably net revenuing $150,000 a year, maybe $200,000 if he's got good margins. But how many hours is he working? He's got to be working 70, 80 hours a week. Yeah. And that's not like 70 to 80 where he's playing on his phone a little bit, doing a little bit of this, going out to eat with his family. So, I mean, no, that's like losing a lot of sleep, stressing out when you're sleeping and getting up. That's like more than 2 jobs is kind of what I'm getting at. That's like 2 jobs and then a ton of stress.
I can't highlight Mike's post.
Don't get me wrong. You're going to make money.
Mike's comment.
But I don't think it's like fully sustainable, but there is a lot of people out there who do that right now. And
my buddy, he does it. Yeah, that's the comment I was talking about. Right? Yeah, my buddy does it just like Mike.
It's like,
and he's got high blood pressure.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, one of the things that I think a lot of technicians miss if a technician goes out and starts their own company is they're just thinking about doing the work. And they're missing the part that you have to run the business as well. And you may only be able, if you're only going to work, say you do the math, and you want to work 40 hours a week, right? Then you have to, say you're actually only going to get into the field 20 or 30 hours of the week, because you got to do all the bookkeeping. You got to do everything else on the back end. So you got to make enough money in that 20 to 30 hours a week to pay for your overhead part, which is the other 10 to 20 hours a week, which is something that I think so many people miss.
Yeah.
Right.
I still have all my books for my state license.
Something
they're all right here. 2010.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, if you like air conditioning, don't become an owner of a company. That's all I got. That's the voice that kept saying. I was like, I love air conditioning. I don't like owning a business.
I'll say the one thing me and the old man did really smart when we started. The first 3 months were rough. We were super broke, but we were working our butts off for like 3 months straight. We just had a lot of work out the gate. And when the check started rolling in and the bank account got filled back up, we instantly started paying ourselves a paycheck to what we used to make before we had started our own business. That way we were used to getting a paycheck. We were tracking our hours like we worked for the business. And we continued to do that for a very long time. We were employees to that business. And if we worked over, we paid ourselves over. We didn't ever just like take lump sums of money every quarter and try to judge it that way. No, we treated ourselves like an employee. And I think that was pretty smart. It allowed us to be stable, right? Like you knew how much income you were going to get. Like there was a systematic process to it. It worked.
Well, and it also, depending if you like, say you track that time as to what you're doing. It's not just a working hour. It's okay. I'm doing this many hours of bookkeeping, and you go back and you use that as data. Then you can figure out like, okay, how many hours am I going to need to have somebody to do this?
Bro, we used to have it broken down to where like our timesheets are hours to the job, and those jobs would have job numbers, right? And then we would have unbillable time, which would fall in different categories. There'd be engineering, which is where if we're designing for a job to see if we're going to get it or not, or estimating. We would have shop time. I mean, we broke it up into categories because we wanted to see, this came later on. Like I wanted to track engineering time to see how much am I estimating and how much am I landing based on the estimating time that I'm spending on quoting jobs. So I would only typically put the billable hours in the engineering time that I truly spent on large customer blueprints, right? If I did a 1 hour quote for somebody for a residential change out, that just went to shop time. But if I truly spent like 3 days doing a full takeoff for like maybe a $400,000 quote, that went to engineering time. That way I could see, is the juice worth the squeeze?
So if you like HVAC, make sure you like business too. If you're going to open up your own company, and if you're going to open up your own company, you want to get with Tersh, right? Tersh pretty much handles a lot of the business side, right?
You should probably drop that, man.
Licit, is that the last name? Yeah. I don't want to murder that. My last name's pretty bad, so
I'm gonna close the show out, man, with a really good statement. Y'all ready? If this show was interesting to you and you're like, man, I need to know more, where do I go to get more of this? You should check out Service Business Mastery with Tersh Blissett and his co-host, Josh Crowder.
That's what I meant to say, but Chris says it a lot better.
They do a very good job, and they bring on CEOs and people who've started from the ground up, built multi-million-dollar companies. I mean, they're interviewing some heavy hitters in the marketplace.
Tersh is where it's at for business, bro. If you want to take it to the next level, that guy is on some next level,
some good stuff,
like 3D chess shit right there.
Or this one right here, right?
Oh, this guy.
That too.
I mean, you could hire somebody to handle the business stuff. If you love being in the field and you want to just go work your tail off in the field, hire somebody.
Yep.
That, you got to find somebody that's trustworthy and good at the end of that things, but put them in that position, build in checks, because if you're not running, if you're not in the office every day running that business, you need to build in checks and balances to where you can make sure things are running like you want.
Yeah, that's cool.
But be realistic about that. And
yeah, I'm gonna open up my own company.
Throw that in there because
I'm gonna hire Terse to do the business side. I'm gonna pay myself like minimum wage.